I've taken fresh peach pie and turned it into a high-protein homemade ice cream with cottage cheese. Yes, cottage cheese gives this nutrient-dense dessert a rich, creamy texture that is naturally sweetened with honey and maple syrup. I've added the delicious flavor of a pie crust with my homemade gluten-free graham cracker bits that take this ice cream to another level. If you haven't tried cottage cheese ice cream yet and love peach pie, this recipe is for you. You don't need an ice cream maker and it's ready to enjoy in 2 hours. To make this ice cream, you'll need either an upright blender or an immersion blender or a food processor. And we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of cottage cheese, and you can use low curd, small curd, high fat, low fat, whatever you like. And as our natural sweetener, we'll add 1/3 cup of honey that adds to the rich, delicious flavor. Then we'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 1/4 teaspoon salt. And then we'll simply put on our lid and mix this on high until it's well combined and we don't see any more of the cottage cheese texture. All right, now that's just smooth and creamy, and a little pinky test. Perfectly sweetened. And now we'll want to take a shallow dish, and it could be glass or plastic or whatever you have. And then we'll take our ice cream mixture and we're going to take a spatula, and then we're going to scoop out most of it and just plop it right into our dish. So we're going to leave inside of our blender about 1/2 cup of ice cream mixture. And then in our bowl, we'll just quickly spread this around with our spatula. And that is just so rich and creamy and looks absolutely delicious. Now we get to add our peaches, and you can use either fresh or frozen. If you're using fresh, you can use 2 peaches, or if you're using frozen, you can measure out 2 cups worth. I'm using frozen peaches that I defrosted first in the microwave. You'll need them thawed to mix them in with the ice cream, even though we're gonna freeze it again. So we'll go ahead and just add our peaches to our food processor. And depending on the ripeness and sweetness of your peaches, you can add a tablespoon of some maple syrup to your peaches. Now, if you don't have maple syrup, you could just add more honey. I like using maple syrup because it adds more sweetener with a little bit less flavor, whereas honey also gives sweetener but has a little bit stronger flavor to it. Now we'll put on our lid and mix this until well combined. And I love how we get this beautiful peach color, but then we also get these little tiny red specks from the peel that I think is so beautiful. So now we can go ahead and just pour our peach mixture right on top of our cream mixture in our dish. We definitely do not want to waste any. And then with our spatula, we'll just go ahead and spread that out in our dish. Man, this smells so good. Now to make this a peach pie ice cream, we're going to add our pie crust. And I came up with these really adorable little gluten-free graham cracker bits. And I included a link in the video description below to another video showing you how easy it is to make these little graham cracker bits. They're made gluten-free with oat flour and tapioca flour, and they're naturally sweetened with just a little bit of maple syrup. And they're really fun and easy to make. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start breaking some of these little peach pie crust bits into our ice cream. Now you could also just use some pre-made graham crackers if you prefer. Now to get a beautiful marbling effect between the white and the peach colors that are in this, we're gonna go ahead and just take a spoon and then go through and just kind of make some flips, which is going to kind of turn it upside down and bring some of the white to the top and some of the peach to the bottom. And it also gives us a chance to bury our little pie crust bits into the ice cream. Now I want to be able to just have some large chunks of white and orange as opposed to mixing them together in order to maintain the contrast between the two. And this is very #satisfying. All right, now that we've mixed those together, I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of level it out and make sure those pie bits are submerged in the ice cream. Well, that looks so delicious, and I am so glad it only takes 2 hours for this to set up enough to be able to enjoy. And that's one of the reasons why you want to spread it out in a shallow dish, because then it doesn't take as long to freeze. So we're gonna go ahead and put this into the freezer for at least 2 hours, but it could absolutely be stored in the freezer and freeze overnight. So this is gonna go into the freezer for several hours. So I have one here that I made earlier, and it's been allowed to freeze for a couple of hours. Now, cottage cheese ice cream differs from traditional ice cream in that it's not going to stay soft and creamy even after it's been in the freezer for a while. So if it does become too hard to scoop, just set it out on your counter and let it thaw for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then it will soften and become the perfect consistency again. For me, it's definitely a small price to pay for all the benefits of having delicious cottage cheese ice cream. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a scoop And you can see the beautiful marbling between the white and the peach colors. And then we have the little bits of our pie crust spread throughout. That is so cute. Now for the best part. Make sure we get a bite with the bits as well as the white and the peach. Crunchy. That is so delicious. That is just an instant flavorful burst of peach pie. I get the creamy vanilla flavor as well as the delicious fresh peach flavor blended throughout. And then getting that little bit of crunch from those graham cracker bits. It totally tastes like a peach pie. And I love knowing that this is nutrient dense and high in protein and calcium, and it does not contain any corn syrup or refined white sugar that you'll find in traditional ice creams. And the fresh peaches just bring instant sunshine. That is definitely emotionally and physically satisfying. And by eliminating the cottage cheese texture, I would never guess that this was made with cottage cheese. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen to make this super easy ice cream. And if you'd like to see the full recipe card for this video, I've included a link in the video description below. And it's also available on my website, gentletummy.com. And I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love to have a peach pie cottage cheese ice cream recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you with me in my kitchen again next time.